On November 18th, a lawyer working with the Trump campaign named Kenneth Chesebro wrote a memo arguing that the Trump campaign should organize its own electors in the swing states that President Trump had lost. The Select Committee received testimony that those close to President Trump began planning to organize fake electors for Trump in states that Biden won in the weeks after the election.
Who do you remember being involved in those early discussions around the Thanksgiving time regarding having alternate electors meet?
Mr. Giuliani, several of Mr. Giuliani's associates, Mr. Meadows, members of Congress, although it's difficult to distinguish if the members I'm thinking of were involved during Thanksgiving or if they were involved
later
as we progress through December.
At the president's direct request, the RNC assisted the campaign in coordinating this effort.
What did the president say when he called you?
Essentially, he turned the call over to Mr. Eastman, who then proceeded to talk about the importance of the RNC helping the campaign gather these contingent electors in case any of the legal challenges that were ongoing changed the result of any of the states.
That's Ronna McDaniel. Romney McDaniel. That's yes, they're related. Testifying that she was asked by Donald Trump and the Trump administration to put together a list of fake electors. Okay. And then the other testimony that you heard that sort of said, hard to remember like which members of the House were involved because I don't know if they were involved in the fake elector scam around Thanksgiving or if the House members that were part of the fake elector scam came into the scheme in December. We have to clean house. And I mean that literally. Now, maybe that cliche makes sense to you. We have to actually clean house. We have to get rid of so many of these legislators who try to steal the election from the people, who try to steal the presidency for their master, their Lord and Master, the Orange Menace. For a guy, only because, and here's why. All right, some of them are ideologically, connected to him, like, I'll say Paul Gosar, who is clearly insane, okay? Others of them just were in awe of his fundraising prowess. So regardless of whether it was ideology or money or just being close to the president of the United States power-wise, they had motives. They all had motives to upend and to destroy democracy that day. And this was an ongoing, long, burling, that's the Bronx, boiling, pot of slow frog, right? That they just wanted to make it so that Americans were rooting for the demise of democracy, that we were in a boiling pot of water for so long, since 2 days after the election, when it was clear that Donald Trump had lost to Joe Biden, who beat him from the basement. I mean, that was the campaign Joe Biden ran. And he still got 8 million more votes than Donald Trump did, because people had it with him. Especially, suburban women who couldn't explain him to their children anymore. But for whatever their motivation was, whatever their motives were, they were willing to destroy democracy itself. And we have to clean house. I mean, look, we could sit here and say, will they ever get prosecuted? Will they be charged for being part of the scheme? Will they ever get charged for being, seditionists? Can't call them treasonous because we weren't in war, although January 6th looked like war. It wasn't a declaration of war by our government, so we weren't at war. But this was clearly sedition. Will they ever get charged? Well, you know what's more important to me? What's more important to me is that they don't have power, that they are removed by the people from their perch of power. And there's a whole long list of them. There's Elise Stefanik in New York. There's Scott Perry in Pennsylvania. Doug Mastriano, he's running to be in charge of the next election in 2024 in Pennsylvania, in all the swing states. Everybody in a swing state, Wisconsin, Arizona, New Mexico. New Mexico, you got, that cowboy for Trump who sits on a city council and wouldn't certify the results of an election that he lost. I mean, this is the pot of boiling water that they put us as Americans into so that it would all feel normal at the end when we died. We wouldn't even see it coming. And I'm just so sorry that, it got exposed. And people out here are having cognitive dissonance and they can't wrap their brains around the facts that this really was a plot. It was a scheme. It was something that was designed to make you go along with the destruction of the American way of life. It was something to make it all seem so normal or normalize the autocracy that they envisioned. And it's not normal. And it never felt normal to people who are normal. Never. And all this violence that we keep seeing, all this right-wing violence, at least, I will admit that this was scary, that there was a person who wanted his life to matter. So he decided what he would do is go and threaten the life of Brett Kavanaugh. That guy was clearly suffering from mental illness. He clearly knew he was suffering from mental illness. He clearly understood he needed to call somebody for help, which he did. He called his sister. And his sister said, you need to call the police. You need to call 911, which he did, rather than kill somebody. But these right-wingers, they have absolutely no remorse. They have no self-awareness. They don't have any orientation into what a democracy is, that you have to lose sometimes. You can win sometimes, but sometimes you have to lose. I mean, they have got it in their head that if they lose, if their candidate loses, not even them, because they'll be no closer to power in Alabama voting for Mo Brooks than they would be, in Alabama voting for this other woman. No closer to power at all. But they imagine that they would be because it's imaginary. But America's real. It's a real place with real laws, and it really does deserve to have a clean slate. We have to remove the people who plotted and schemed and planned or rooted for or were amenable to the destruction of the system by which we self-govern. They're not into the self-governing thing. They have disdain for all of you. They have disdain for me, clearly, but they have more disdain for you. You are the unwashed masses. You are the poorly educated. He has said as much. The people who voted for him are no more important to him than me. Any of you, any of me, anybody at all that gets in the way of people like this hanging on to power or getting power by, with ill-gotten means or with violence, they will serve you up. They will shove you under the bus just as fast as they would a person like me who disagrees with everything. And you're about to see it. You're about to see it. I mean, you got this woman here, Cassidy Hutchinson, who's trying to do the right thing. And what does she have to do the right thing? She has to throw her boss under the bus. Well, her boss, Mark Meadows, is going to throw her under the bus. You see, they're starting to attack each other now because this is the natural result of mob violence. This is the natural result of what happens in the mafia. This is the exact result of what, you have the five families going after each other. And that is what you're seeing now. You're seeing the ultra MAGA go after the MAGA. They are eating themselves. They are destroying themselves. But the better way is for all of us to actually say enough and vote out, because we have this great opportunity in just a few weeks to choose. And we can get rid of every single House member that went along with this scheme, every single House member that rooted for this scheme, every single House member that was hoping it would work. Every single one of them can be removed by the people, which is much more important than law enforcement. If you think law enforcement is here to save you, I got one word for you. It's called Uvalde. Uvalde. Even those law enforcement guys, they're turning on each other now, okay? They're setting up this Arredondo, the local guy. You have the Department of Public Safety pointing at Arredondo and saying he's the reason. Meanwhile, they were all there with long guns and ballistic shields, and they didn't go in the classroom either for over an hour. They're not here to save you. We're here to save you. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.